In an ideal world, we'd all have a 2x72 belt sander. Fortunately, we don't all have that kind of money for what is essentially a hobby. What I did find was this old Jet 1-inch belt sander. I paid the princely sum of $25 for. I will make do with what this can offer, and maybe I'll go through more belts than I should, but I'm not doing very big knives right now. And when I do have another belt sander, which I think is a 6x48. I'll show you that in a minute. I also have this drum sander, which I never really thought of using for knives. I've used it for making guitars and other woodworking projects. But should the need arise, I will use it for a knife. So here's the 6x48 belt sander. It's stood in a vertical position right now. I've not used it for knives. I think it's probably a little bit too big and clumsy, but again, when I get onto bigger knives and for material removal, I'm sure it will do a pretty handsome job. So that's another tool in the arsenal. So even though I don't have a 2x72, I think I can manage with what I have. And of course there's always files and hand sanding when all that goes wrong. So now I did remove the guards from this, which, as long as you're careful and don't stick your fingers in, especially when you're trying to reach down here for the on-off switch, that you don't get anything caught up in here. I spent so long changing belts that it is a pain in the arse to keep having to take. There's a guard that fits over the top here and a guard that fits over these pulleys here. So for now I'm leaving it off. Once I lose a finger, I may put them back on, but we'll see. Now sometimes I do this with gloves on, and sometimes I do it with gloves off. The good thing about doing it with the gloves off is that you can feel the heat in the metal, so that you don't overheat and ruin your heat treat by going in too hard. Obviously that's more difficult to do on the edge because your finger's usually out on the back when you're putting the bevel in. The other tool I can use in the shop for finishing is this 1 horsepower mortar with a buffing wheel attached to it. Sometimes I put a grinding wheel on here. It seems to hold up. It's actually controlled by a variable speed drive that I pulled out of the trash, and I can literally spin this down at whatever speed. I wish up to about 3000 RPM, I think. So I can take that all the way up. I can take it all the way back down. And I can even reverse the direction on it and go the other way. Which turns out pretty handy for something that essentially I pulled out of a dumpster. It's the only way to shop. What's really kind of amazing is just how good of an edge you can get on a blade just from the belt sander and a little bit of just a little bit of buffing. Not even attempted to sharpen this yet. Not sure if it will cut hair. The edge actually does look a little bit rough, but sure enough, that buffing allowed me to shave with the knife. So, what a great way to get an edge.